Welcome to A Moment of Zen. Time to sit back and relax as model, actress, mentor, and supermom Zen Sams takes you on a sexy and wild ride, covering the latest in film, fashion, pop culture, cryptocurrency, fintech, cannabis, and entertainment from the millennial mom's perspective. Here's your host, Zen Sams.
Hello, my awesome tri-state area. Welcome to our 163rd episode. It's always such a pleasure to spend my time with you on the airwaves. Thank you for listening and interacting with me. That truly does make it all worthwhile. You can check us out on social media at Zen Sams. That's Zen with an X, not a Z. And also remember that all our episodes of A Moment of Zen stream 24/7 on your home TV in Kathy, Ireland, worldwide. You can also find us on our YouTube channel. Up next in our Trailblazers segment, brought to you by FinTech TV, we're featuring Marco Antonio Soriano IV, Scion of an illustrious lineage, who leads the Soriano Group, a powerhouse family office with $2.8 billion in revenue. He spearheads Soriano Motori Corp, and he revitalized the iconic motorcycle brand with premium electric models. He's going to join me today at iHeart headquarters to chat all about the Soriano legacy, how he plans on conquering the U.S. markets with his motorcycles and fashion line, and why he believes that the metaverse is going to be a major disruptor for brands overall. In our Discover Your Potential segment, brought to you by The Wellness Way, we're joined by our regular contributor, podcaster, and author, Dan Gilman. Today, he's joined by Darren Hood. Darren is a seasoned user experience professional and educator. We're going to be chatting about UX and where the field is heading, entering 3.0 and the metaverse. In our Going Deep segment, brought to you by CO2 Lift, we're featuring Dr. Karan Lal, currently servicing patients in Scottsdale, Arizona, as well as right here in New York City. He's a double board certified dermatologist, and he specializes in pediatric and adult dermatology, laser surgery, soft tissue filler augmentation, body sculpting, and pigmentary abnormalities of the skin. What doesn't he cover? Today, he joins me to chat carbon dioxide therapy for skin rejuvenation and laser skin resurfacing, but we're also going to get his take on the go-to non-invasive procedures and the latest innovations in pediatric dermatological skincare. In our Hydration with Heart segment, brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut, we're featuring Dean Mojo Mutati, but you may know him by his WWE name, Mojo Rawley. He's founder of Paragon Talent Group and host on TMZ Sports. He's also an ambassador to Once Upon a Coconut. Today, he joins me to chat about life after the WWE, representing talent, his healthy obsession with coconut water, and starting his own family. Stay tuned for Marco Soriano IV. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is sponsored by FinTech TV.
FinTech TV, the newest streaming channel focused exclusively on the business of blockchain, digital assets, and sustainability. Broadcasting from our studio on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange with daily reports from NASDAQ, global expansion, and 24/7 coverage. Become part of the launch. Head to fintech.tv/invest. Fintech.tv/invest.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next in our Trailblazers segment, brought to you by FinTech TV, we're featuring Marco Antonio Soriano IV, scion of an illustrious lineage, leads the Soriano Group, a powerhouse family office with $2.8 billion in revenue. Spearheading Soriano Motori Corp, he revitalizes the iconic motorcycle brand with premium electric models. Beyond business, Marco seamlessly melds art and innovation, epitomizing his mantra, art in motion. Formerly of Goldman Sachs and the World Bank, his journey embodies heritage, innovation, and artistic vision, set to be chronicled in his upcoming book. Today, he joins me at iHeart headquarters right here in Midtown Manhattan to chat all about the Soriano legacy, how he plans on conquering the U.S. markets with his motorcycles and fashion line, and why he believes the metaverse is going to be a major disruptor for brands. Joining me now on my Expert on the Microphone series is my good friend Marco Soriano. Welcome, superstar.
Woo! Awesome to be here, iHeart. Thank you so much for having me. And
so excited. So finally we're doing this. Let's kick this off.
No, we've been waiting a long time, right?
Yeah, let's dive right in. Okay, so
What do we got?
heritage meet innovation in a tapestry of success and vision. Marco, your journey truly captivates, seamlessly intertwining tradition with very forward-thinking entrepreneurship, and your family legacy is deeply rooted in tradition and success. So how do you balance preserving this heritage, but also driving innovation and modernization within the Soriano Group?
Great. So tradition is always a great thing to have, and that's part of the heritage of the family. But at the same time, if we do not keep up with technologies and what's going on in the world, many companies get left behind, right? It is said, and we already know by statistics, that 80% of the companies in the S&P 500 in the next 10 years will be dropped out because they're not adapting quick enough to technologies. So there's certainly something that I'm not going to let happen to my family's legacy.
Well, you said it, and it's that adept transition from the realms of finance to the helm of Soriano Motori Corp. It really exemplifies a modern narrative of what we call this adaptive leadership. And in an industry evolving towards sustainability, your specific embrace of electronic models not only echoes environmental responsibility, but also it resonates truly with market trends, because that's what it's all about, sustainability. And statistics reveal a very robust growth trajectory, with electric motorcycle sales surging globally by 50% this year alone, which is a testament to the viability of your strategic pivot. Now, your journey from finance at Goldman Sachs to leading Soriano Motori Corp is quite remarkable. I think it's truly interesting. Can you share what inspired your transition and how your background influences your current approach to business?
Sure. Finance and investment banking, what we learn typically, especially coming from like the old school of Goldman Sachs, is how to analyze opportunities, how to find and disrupt status quo companies, right? So I bring all of this value and all of this knowledge into a company that for a very long time maintained its traditional values, traditional forms of investment. So I disrupted my own family's strategies by bringing onto the board, onto the table, alternative investments into the EVs, AI. You mentioned it earlier, even the metaverse, crypto, NFTs, the whole bit, right? So it's just how do you put it all together? How do you stitch them all up together and make a company that makes sense to people? That's what I'm doing.
You're quite an artist. In fact, if you look at it from that perspective, the integration of artistry into these endeavors, it really elevates Soriano products beyond just this mere commodities, right? Transforming them into objets d'art, what we call in French, in motion. As you so eloquently described, the fusion of form and function, it really underscores your commitment to not just meeting, but exceeding consumer expectations. And that's what it's all about. Now, surveys indicate that 67% of consumers are willing to pay a premium for products that blend aesthetic appeal with practical utility, which is a testament to the resonance of your ethos. Because if you read all of these blogs, that's what it's about. Now, revitalizing an iconic motorcycle brand with premium electric models is a very bold move. What were the biggest challenges you faced in this transformation, and how did you overcome them?
Sure, Greg. Amazing question, actually. The riders today, the drivers today are always asking you the same questions. And you know this as a consumer yourself, right? How long can I go before I need to recharge this battery or this vehicle again? How fast can it go? Is it reliable? Is the design good enough for you? Is the color that you're buying the color that you wanted? Does it have sound? Is it safe? So I took all of these problems and I put them together on the table with a bunch of engineers that have worked for the remarkable brands of the world. And I told them I need to have a bike that has all the solutions to all of these problems, but we're going to make it in Italy. And that's where the quality control and the quality and design comes up even better, because whatever you're seeing today that we're being flooded with is cheap, low quality product. And I want to get rid of it.
It's junk, as they put it.
Yeah.
Now, conquering the U.S. markets, which are renowned for their dynamism and really discerning consumer base, this presents both a challenge and an opportunity. But with your proven track record and a comprehensive market entry strategy, which you have, success seems inevitable. And research forecasts a very robust outlook for, like I said, the electric vehicle market in the U.S. And this growth is going to keep going of about 30% between this year and 2030. So this is, again, very fertile ground awaiting Soriano Motori Corp. Now, beyond motorcycles, you've also ventured into the fashion industry under the Soriano brand.
I'm wearing it.
There you go. What unique elements do you bring from your motorcycle designs to your fashion line?
Well, listen, you said it yourself again. You know, the interpretation of art, fashion meets engineering has always had a big gap. But you know that if you're going to be driving a Ferrari, you're not going to be driving it in your pajamas, right? You're going to be having a nice outfit on, and you're going to make yourself look good, and you're going to go out there and make it the best event ever, right? As opposed to if you were driving a Tesla or driving a Nissan, you're not going to care. That's the difference.
Nothing against Nissan or Tesla.
But it's what it is. It's a perception of what makes you feel good. And a made in Italy product, that the one that we're making, needs fashion. So the fashion goes along the lines of sustainability as well, because we're using recyclable material. We're working with leather goods. Who doesn't like leather these days, right? And we're recreating classic looks in collaboration with artists all around the world. So the art of this artist is painted onto the leather in our jackets. And that's what makes the difference.
Woo! You're on one rapid journey. I love it. Living life in the fast lane with Soriano. Now, let's shift a little bit. So this anticipation, your anticipation of the metaverse as a disruptor for brands is astute, and this reflects a keen awareness of emerging digital landscape, which I'm so thrilled that as an entrepreneur you're aware of, because many don't even know what the metaverse means. Now, with projections indicating that the global metaverse market is going to exceed 800 billion by the year 2028, your foresight in leveraging this paradigm shift really does underscore your commitment to staying at the forefront of innovation. And that's what we're talking about, the forefront of innovation. So the concept of the metaverse as a disruptor for brands is gaining significant attention. You're not the only one with this on your radar. So how do you envision leveraging this digital landscape to enhance the Soriano brand experience?
Yeah, so in a book that I published about last year called Entrepreneurial Madness, basically I introduced one paradigm out of 10. And one of them was, how did you disrupt the market with an element that connects Web3 in blockchain, the metaverse, and you gamify your business? The gamification of your business is essential because the consumers of tomorrow or even today are consuming through video gaming. This is a great example from Fortnite, which is in the trillions of dollars, right? So I'm taking all of my motorcycles, cars, any prototype face vehicle that I'm intending to put in the market, and I'm putting it out there as the form of a game. So I get the feedback from the consumer, and then I know what I need to produce. I know where I need to spend the money to manufacture such goods. The same thing with the fashion. I can dress up my avatars in the fashion. I can have fashion live shows worldwide. You know, the problem with having an event in a physical space is that you're limited to that physical space. In the metaverse, you have no limitations. You can create and recreate and keep going. It also works as a functional instrument to the salespeople, right? The distributors and their dealerships that they want to show you in real time what your motorcycle could potentially look like, or your car. This is the instrument. So you get to see and you get to buy what you want, not what I'm giving you.
You're a visionary, and it's all about Web 3.0 and where we're headed, and you are 100% right. The metaverse is really where the younger audience and the generation is. And that breeds community, and community breeds loyalty, and loyalty, well, that feeds the bank account. So you are right on the money. Now, your dedication to sustainability is extremely evident here. This echoes the growing consumer sentiment that you are aware of towards these eco-conscious practices, let's say. And if you research even further, 88% of consumers want brands to help them be more environmentally friendly. So this highlights, again, another importance of Soriano's sustainability initiatives. I wanted to point that out. So let's go back. Sustainability, increasingly important. How does Soriano Motori Corp incorporate sustainability into its business practices?
First of all, knowledge of that it's really happening. Climate change is something that is really happening regardless of what you think back at home in your car while you're driving. The issues here, it's the amount of people that we are in the world. You're looking at over 8 billion people, and we're going to add another billion people in the next 10 years. It only took 100 years the last time that we added another billion. So clearly the growth of the population in the world is exponential. So how do we resolving the problems of sustainability with potable water, irrigation systems, energy, air quality? This is what we're looking at. So whenever we're sitting down and brainstorming about what is our next product, our next engineering design phase, we're looking at solutions to these problems. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to resolve all these problems for the whole world, because we're a small company right now, even though we're growing, but perhaps we can influence other companies to do the right thing. And the right thing is to be conscious about this and take actions to make this new world a better world.
Well said. I love it that you are conscious of the environment and the issues that we're having, and especially the generation today. They really are akin to wanting to align themselves with the same vision you have. And it's interesting that you switched to electric vehicles, that your brand is sustainable, that you're looking at the metaverse. These are all pointers in the right direction, that you are not only aware, but you have a knowledge of how these three factors within an enterprise really make the difference in speaking to your brand identity. But looking ahead, as your group continues to chart these new territories, the promise of a future where tradition and innovation really converge holds immense allure. And it's a very sexy concept that you have. And this unwavering commitment to excellence that you have also ensures that the Soriano legacy is going to continue to inspire many generations to come, right? And it's a beacon of ingenuity in a very rapidly evolving world, is what I say. But your mantra, art in motion, this suggests a deep connection between creativity and functionality. So how do you incorporate artistic vision into the design and development process of your products?
So this goes back to a little bit of history. And for example, my family were best friends with Salvador Dali, right? And everybody knows his name. Today, I'm happy to say that I'm friends with all these different artists that are interpreting life in their own ways, through their own lenses. So I'm helping them connect the bridges with our vehicles, with our fashion, with what I'm calling the Soriano world. Soriano world will be a worldly exhibition where we can see all of these elements cross-pollinizing with each other, and where clients could come and people just enjoy and teach their kids the value of maintaining our ecosystem clean, but at the same time being creative. This is what the Soriano world is going to promise. This is what we're working on. And hopefully this year we're going to be presenting it in Europe first. Then I want to bring it to the U.S.
So conquering the U.S., that's going to be a daunting task, especially in industries as competitive as motorcycles and fashion. So what strategies do you have in place to penetrate and succeed in this market? So
we're working on creating a module that is transferable. Basically, we go to one place, 10 days, we'll break it down, we'll bring it to another place. Just imagine an artist that goes on the road for a concert, right? And then after that, he moves on to another city and brings the same scenography and shows the world that, what he's doing, what he's singing, what he's all about. I'm looking at myself as an artist. And all of these different creations are part of this world. So I want to bring it to all these different places where people can engage, interface with each other, integrate with us, and be a part of the Soriano world.
Beautiful. Now, last question. We have 1 minute left. Your upcoming book, it promises to chronicle your journey, encompassing your heritage and your innovation and your artistic vision. So what key lessons do you hope readers will take away?
I go back in time and look at myself in the mirror as a child, how I made myself to become the man who I am right now, who I'm almost in my 50s, right? My 4 children really are my inspiration to everything that I'm creating, because part of the legacy is what you leave behind. It's not so much the money that you can make, that one can make, but what you really, truly leave behind. The moral values, the right guidance, and a way to become creative and think outside the box. That's the whole point here. And that's what I'm working on very hard, so that they have that.
Well, you're right there, my friend. I see that you have gone where there is no path, and you have left a great big trail. You built your own door. Not only did you knock on it and unlock it, but you continued building more doors for yourself and stepped right into the space that you are right now, which is exactly where you are supposed to be. Thank you so much for coming on. It was such a pleasure chatting with you today.
And the honor and the pleasure is always mine. Thank you to you.
That was our Trailblazer segment brought to you by FinTech TV, and that was the impressive Marco Soriano the fourth. Do check them out at SorianoMotori.com or SorianoFashion.com, and you can also head to metaverse.sorianogroup.com. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Your Home TV with Kathy Ireland and their channel partners. Head to yourhometv.com for free, family-friendly programming, streaming 24/7.
Gogo Bethke, the social media queen of real estate, teaches you the secrets to success through her own journey. From immigrant to entrepreneur, watch how she paved her way to $1.8 billion in sales. Watch Gogopreneur on yourhometv.com.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. A Moment of Zen is brought to you by The Wellness Way, your trusted partner in health restoration. Now you can feel amazing at any age with their foundational testing and mind-body approach. The Wellness Way offers in-clinic and telehealth support when you're ready to test, not guess, what your body needs. Discover your best health by visiting their website, thewellnessway.com, and selecting a clinic near you. Do health differently at thewellnessway.com.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next in Discover Your Potential segment brought to you by The Wellness Way, we're joined by our regular contributor, podcaster, and author, Dan Gilman. Today, he's joined by Darren Hood, a seasoned user experience professional and educator. He designed his first website back in 1995 and now possesses almost 3 decades of experience, including work for the Fortune 50 and some of the largest digital design agencies in the world. He's skilled in various UX disciplines, including heuristics and usability, information architecture, interaction design, UX research, and interface design. With an additional passion for education, he also serves as an adjunct professor for Kent State's UX Design Master's Program, UCLA, Michigan State, and Lawrence Tech Universities. He's also the host of the World of UX podcast. Now, you may be wondering, what exactly is user experience? Well, I'm going to let our expert tell us. So welcoming now to the show is Dan Gilman and Darren Hood chatting about UX and where the field is headed. Welcome to the show, superstars.
Hello.
Hi, Zen.
Hi, Zen. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great, Darren. Okay, so let's dive right in. So for our listeners who might not be as familiar, could you start by explaining what UX and UX design is and why it's so crucial?
Sure thing. UX, I like to think of it as a moniker. It's really an umbrella term or acronym that's, I like to describe it as being representative of a multitude of methods, methodologies, techniques, and deliverables, all of which picture them being in a toolbox. And the person who is a UX professional will then access that toolbox based on whatever the needs are, based on whatever the goals are, selecting the different tool to help achieve a particular goal. So there's a whole ton of things to learn. It's a very large world, and it's very critical to business because, for example, back in about 2015, 2016 or so, Design Management Institute stated that user-centered companies outperform the competition according to Standard & Poor's by up to 228%. So when a company embraces UX of a truth, applies it of a truth, has the right people in place of a truth, it actually generates, it fosters tremendous competitive advantage in the business world. So the haves succeed, the have-nots, nice being here, have some wonderful gifts and fabulous prizes, but they don't they don't come out on top.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And according to Statista, there are nearly 5.3 billion internet users worldwide, and by the year 2029, and 2029 is just around the corner, that number is expected to reach close to 8 billion. So an appealing user experience and design is essential for a successful website or mobile app to build that trustworthy and positive first interaction, because you lose them after that, and retain the user's interest. In fact, a recent Google study reported that if a mobile site takes more than 3 seconds to load, 53% of visitors are likely to leave. And on the aesthetic design side, a Stanford University study found that 94% of first impressions of a website are related to its design. So these first impressions mean everything, and they're going to directly impact overall satisfaction and conversion rates. Now, I know Dan has some questions as well, so I'll hand it off to him.
Yeah, before becoming a podcast host, I dedicated myself to studying design and user experience, and I truly believe this would be a lifelong work because UX really helps make our lives seamless. But given these aspirations, I'm quite concerned about the current state of UX. But Darren, could you share your insights on the state of user experience based on your own experience?
I started in 95. It wasn't called UX back then. And we were mostly information architects, interaction designers. But I just fell in love with it. Initially, I abandoned my initial plans to go the route of education only. And I just continued to grow in the discipline, gradually going from doing it part-time during the day to full-time during the day. And then eventually I ended up getting 2 UX-related master's degrees because I just love education. But I after getting my second master's in 2015 and thinking like you, this is going to be a great long-term prospectus. What I have found is in 2011, there was actually no misinformation spreading in UX prior to 2011. We experienced what we refer to as the gold rush, where you have all these people who find out how much it's paying. They want to get into it. Companies decide, hey, we need to have UX people, but they didn't really get educated about UX. So they were like creating UX departments, putting people in place, but not really doing it from an informed perspective. So you have the boot camps came along in 2011 also, and which just really just exponentially increased the misdirection and the misinformation. Fast forward to 2024, and so one other reference to 2011. Back in 2011, I said, and I started to tell people that UX was under siege, that all that stuff that was happening was starting to morph the discipline into something that it was not. So now we come to 2024. That siege has actually succeeded. UX has been redefined. The companies that never got educated on UX have increased exponentially, continuously putting people who don't know what UX is in charge of their operations. And long story short, now it's really upside down. So you do right to be concerned about the current state. You can actually do UX work now and be disavowed. You can make recommendations that are proper and be ignored. The experienced UX professional is now being cast aside in favor of the person that's doing what we refer to as UX theater, where people like to act like they know what they're doing, but they really don't. So we have as we like to jokingly say, butts in seats, but there's not really the value prop. It's not there. So you have people going through the motions and they're not getting things done. And the things that our host mentioned, that you have 3 seconds on a mobile app to accomplish X, you have X amount of time to do Z, Y, and Z. These things aren't being done.
Right. And what's interesting is going into Web3, all the smoking mirrors of all these all the charlatans, if you will, that claim to be professionals, that's going to unravel very quickly, because going into Web3, not only do you need to understand that model and really kind of take that UX experience to that next level, but this is where experience will really come into play. So shifting gears to education and pursuing a path in the UX field. Okay, so let's talk. During the COVID-19 pandemic, many major tech companies grew their workforces, and UX really blew up as a viable and well-paying career path, as you alluded to earlier. But there have been since some layoffs in recent years, and the US Bureau of Labor Statistics revealed that jobs for UI and UX designers is still expected to grow 23% from 2021 to 2031. Not as much as we would have loved to see this growth, but I would love to hear your thoughts on the current educational paths into UX. Are they sufficient? And what does this mean for Web3?
The interesting thing about the educational paths I found just a standard calculation that there's approximately 6,500 institutions of higher learning, and there are programs for UX in less than 2% of them. The educational world has yet to catch up with what's going on with UX. The educational world, academia, I should say, has not really caught up very well. And in addition to not having many programs, a lot of the programs that do exist are not structured well. They have really bad pedagogies. They have really bad andragogies. They're scratching the surface on subjects. They don't have skilled people who are committed to education delivering. So it's a bit of a hodgepodge in the educational world. So that, and people coming in, they don't know what to do, and they're following the Pied Piper, if you will, and just going after whatever the masses are going for, and the masses are not going to the universities. So it's pretty interesting, and people would do well to try to latch on to some informed resources, but that's a difficult goal too, because the most misinformed people are the loudest.
Oh, always, always, always.
Yeah, with that said, Darren, too, what advice would you give to those looking to start a career in UX design or UX today in general today?
Yeah, if people are looking to get involved in UX, you can connect with communities. There are a lot of communities. The UXPA, the UX Professional Association, is probably the most prominent and the one that's going to give the most information that's going to help direct someone's path. When you look at education, you have very few of the undergrad UX programs that are available, and most of them that are only available brick and mortar. So if you don't have that where you live, then you're going to have to find another avenue. When it comes to graduate studies, there are a few more, not many though, again, less than 2% overall. You can do some searches. When I was trying to get a degree, I went to UX News and World Report and was able to find top programs easily. Now that helps you to skim through all the muck and the mire and cut through the bush, if you will, of getting to where you can at least have some institutions to evaluate, to see ones might best suit you. I personally say no to boot camps, period. There are a scant few that try to do it right, but to me, the boot camp bit was a great idea that was never really executed properly. And so now people go to boot camps, they get infected with Dunning-Kruger. The hubris that comes out of those is off the charts. They only understand things from the surface perspective, and yet they're being told that they're going to be guaranteed jobs, which nobody can do. They're being told they can learn everything about UX in 6 months, 9 months. I've been doing this now for almost 30 years, and it's a commitment to lifelong learning. So there is no arrival. Right. You just keep growing. So connect with different communities, look at some of the different options that are out there, but most importantly, try to learn, check and see if you're actually made up for this. If you have the personal character that matches what you
have to love it. You have to be passionate about this. Yes. Now let's chat about artificial intelligence. So AI is expected to continue growing at significant rates, and many are pushing for early adoption in various industries, and others are quite fearful of it. So how do you see emerging technologies like AI and virtual reality changing the UX landscape?
The one thing I love about UX is that pure UX, because there's pure UX and there's what I call the cult of UX. In pure UX, we're geared to pivot. The fundamentals that apply to this discipline are very pervasive. So once you apply something to the website, you can actually apply it to mobile phone. You just need to learn the form factor. That same thing is going to apply to AI. That same thing is going to apply to virtual reality. So AI, it's going to grow. The error rates are way too high now for it to be dependable, up to 85%. I've heard 85%. That's ridiculous. A lot of plagiarism. It's artificial intelligence. I see that as an oxymoron. Actually, it's artificial. It's not real intelligence. It's AI is limited to finite science, where UX is actually an infinite science. We have to pivot. There's too many things that shake and move, and we have to sort of morph with it in order to deliver what we deliver. So the virtual reality, AI, these are areas we're going to have to continue growing in. Technically, they're not new. They're just something that people are very hyped about. So we need to do the same thing we did when the iPhone came along, understand how our principles that we're applying in the existing form factors and experiences apply to that and go forward. And the people who don't know the fundamentals need to get on board because, as was said, when Web3 comes along, those people who've been playing UX theater and playing games and subscribing to the fake it till you make it mentality, they're going to get exposed. And then people like me will be welcomed back into the workplace because today it's quite tough.
Amen.
Yeah. I just love this conversation. How do those challenges like impact the overall quality of digital products from your experience? You kind of touched upon that.
Yeah. It's simply a matter of understanding users, something else a lot of people have become averse to. They just want to do design thinking, come in, bring stakeholders in. The users get left out of that a lot of the time. So you don't understand their mental models. You don't understand what they need. You don't understand what they want. You don't understand their pain points. And so the challenges don't get addressed because it becomes a thing where a bunch of people get in the room. We call it genius design. I know my users. I don't need to do any of that. And so they just throw something together that's really chock full of biases.
Right.
And biases are not going to meet needs. Biases are not going to answer questions. Biases are not going to help you maintain a competitive advantage. And eventually, slowly, people will trickle away. Look at what happened to Netflix and with Blockbuster. Blockbuster failed to keep their eye on the pulse of their customer. And that failure to recognize, now you've got people entering and disrupting, and you need to understand what's going on, how that can impact the mental models of your customer base and respond. And by keeping those little walk in and rent your video places open, well, everybody knows how that story ended and where we are today.
And with that, we are out of time. It is clear as day that not only do you love what you do, but you love talking about what you do, and that's great. Makes you quite the expert on the microphone. Very fitting for this particular segment. I thank you so much for coming on and giving us not only just your take on things, but being as transparent as you were.
Yes, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
That was Discover Your Potential segment, brought to you by The Wellness Way. That was the incredible Darren Hood, seasoned user experience professional and educator. Do check out his podcast at worldous.com. And of course, to see more of Dan, you could head to discoveryourpotentialshow.com. Check Darren out on the gram at Uncensored, and you can head directly to their website at worldous.com. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Your Home TV with Kathy Ireland and their channel partners. Head to yourhometv.com for free, family-friendly programming, streaming 24/7.
Check out Firehouse Kitchen. Firefighter Ray combines firefighter lifestyle and fine cuisine. Join him as he travels the country searching for the finest chefs among our bravest heroes. Check out firehousekitchentv.com and catch every episode on yourhometv.com. These cooks save lives.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by CO2 Lift. As we age, our skin loses moisture and elasticity, causing wrinkled skin. You can reverse this aging process with CO2 Lift. CO2 Lift utilizes the powerful benefits of carbon dioxide to lift, tighten, and regenerate your skin. This simple, painless at-home carboxytherapy treatment is scientifically proven to reverse the aging process. You will see reduction in wrinkles, increase luminosity, and improve pigmentation, sagging, skin tone, and radiance. For more information or to order CO2 Lift, go to CO2lift.com.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next in our Going Deep segment, we're featuring Dr. Karan Lal. He currently services patients in Scottsdale, Arizona, as well as New York City. He's a double board certified dermatologist who specializes in pediatric and adult dermatology, laser surgery, soft tissue filler augmentation, body sculpting, and pigmentary abnormalities of the skin. Dr. Lal has a very specific interest in men's aesthetic, prejuvenation and healthy skin aging. He's been featured in many media publications, including Elle, Harper's Bazaar, and Marie Claire. He's even on the medical advisory board for Elle Magazine and Prevention Magazine. He's the only fellowship trained pediatric and cosmetic dermatologist in the United States. That's so cool. Today, he joins me to chat carbon dioxide therapy for skin rejuvenation, ablative laser skin resurfacing, recovery periods, and why he chooses this procedure for his patients. We're also going to get his take on his go-to non-invasive procedures and the latest innovations in pediatric dermatological skincare. Welcoming now to the show is my expert on the microphone, Dr. Karen Lau. Welcome to the show, superstar.
Thank you for having me. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. So excited to chat with you. So first, I'd like to set the tone and briefly chat about carbon dioxide therapy for skin rejuvenation. It's a treatment that has been around since the 1930s, but to my understanding, the method of delivery has improved since then with a gel delivery system called CO2 lift. Can you explain what carboxy therapy is and what it entails and how it differs from other rejuvenation techniques?
Yeah, so carbon dioxide therapy, also known as carboxy therapy, basically relies on putting carbon dioxide on the skin. And when you do that, it's kind of like you're taking away, oxygen from the skin. And so what happens is, as a response to the carbon dioxide on the skin, your body makes a lot of oxygen and brings a lot of blood and oxygen to the areas where the carbon dioxide is applied. So the carboxy therapy mask is kind of like a combination of a wound care treatment, hyperbaric oxygen treatment. It just brings a lot of oxygen into the skin. And when we do that, blood flow increases. You'll see lifting, hydration. Hydration is seen up to 117%. And the skin just feels very nice and hydrated and lifted.
I love what you just said. It's
Yeah.
non-invasive as well, right?
Non-invasive, not painful, doesn't sting, super soothing. You can do it alone. You can do it in intimate areas. I have a lot of patients that use in the vaginal area. They actually have a specific, CO2 lift for that area. For a lot of, men, you can use it on the buttock area, on the genital area, on the penile area if you have sensitivities, irritation. And the difference between this and other treatments is you get an immediate response. So there's no real other carboxy therapy treatment on the market. This is kind of like the only one. And the good thing is it's something you can do at home. It's safe for all skin types. There's no downtime. You can do it right after a procedure, before a procedure, and it just really overall enhances the experience of whatever you're trying to do for your skin.
It sounds like like magic in a bottle for a non-invasive facelift. I love what you're saying. So I'm now that you've set the tone for carbon dioxide therapy for skin rejuvenation, which we will circle back to in just a little bit. Now we're going to talk about lasers. Now, so unless my audience has been living under a rock for the past few years, which they have not, they're probably aware of the number of fields that laser therapy is being used in, including skincare. By precisely removing the dead and redundant skin layer by layer, laser skin resurfacing helps make your skin appear younger and healthier. And the best thing about these procedures is that they can either be performed on their own or with other cosmetic surgeries. Now, as a specialist in pediatric and adult dermatology, why do you believe fully ablative resurfacing is a valuable option for your patients?
Well, fully ablative resurfacing for most is considered an old school technique. And the reason is because it's a very aggressive treatment. Not a lot of people do full ablative resurfacing anymore. They've transitioned into fractional ablative resurfacing because there's less downtime, it's safer on all skin types. There's less room for error. I, on the other hand, trained, on fully ablative resurfacing. And in Arizona, a lot of my patients have a lot of sun damage. My average patient is in the 60s. And so really, to get the best bang for your buck, you want to do something that's going to do the best thing. Fully ablative resurfacing is when we remove as many layers of skin as we want. You can do that with an erbium laser or with a CO2 laser. The benefits are we're removing sun damaged skin. So for people that have a lot of pre-skin cancers, brown spots, redness, roughness, crepiness, all of that will be gone. Fully ablative resurfacing allows for a longer duration of response. So if I do one aggressive treatment, results last for like 5 years. So it's not
Wow.
something you have to keep on doing over and over again. But it's also not for someone who can't tolerate appropriate wound care. And that's why, carboxy therapy and post-operative wound care and instructions and close contact is very important. It's a high-risk procedure. I probably do 4 cases a week. And it's the most rewarding procedure that I do. In kids, we do fully ablative resurfacing for certain birthmarks that are very elevated and have texture compared to the regular skin. So we can kind of pare them down with the laser to get rid of them.
It feels like it's a multi-use tool, not just for adults, but for children as well. But the takeaway is in the proper hands. And we know that not all skin tones and shades react to lasers the same way. There's something that you are familiar with, the audience may or may not be, but it's the Fitzpatrick scale. It's used by dermatologists to get an idea about how different types of colored skin will respond to UV light. And this scale ranks from 1 to 6, with 1 being the lightest color and 6 being the most melanin, right? And even though
Mhm.
it's possible to use any category of lasers on any skin tone, I always say it's imperative that you remain mindful of doing so. And the more pigmented the skin, the higher the risk of that person experiencing more darkness and blotchiness and brown spots, even if that's what they want to treat in the first place. So it scares me when I see doctors who are not trained in using these very, very specific lasers. And I love it that you wrote the book on this. You are the one that has, to my understanding, put a great deal of education in the way that you conduct your practice and you yourself. So I take my hat off to you, because this is no easy feat to get the results you want carefully.
Oh, 100%. And the thing is, really, it's all about communication and understanding that whatever I do in the office is my responsibility, but there's also the patient's responsibility. And so you need to have close contact. Like, my patients have my cell phone number. I'm like, I want you to text me when you get home, when you get up in the morning, 3 hours after that. What do you do? I need to know, because there's a lot of room for error, even once they're done with me.
Yeah, oh, for sure, for sure. Now let's kind of tie this back. So in your practice, how do you determine when laser resurfacing is the preferred treatment compared to other available options? But more importantly, how do you combine this in a combo therapy with CO2 lift?
So the thing is, CO2 lift is great because you can use it with any treatment. You can use it with BBL, which is broadband light. You can use it with the Halo, which is the dual non-ablative ablative laser. You can use it after radiofrequency microneedling, plain microneedling, after chemical peels, fully ablative resurfacing. It really has no limits, and it's safe for all skin types. So I kind of determine, I give people multiple options because, there's multiple ways to skin a cat. You can do fractional ablative resurfacing. It just may take more treatments. You can do radiofrequency microneedling. That will help build collagen, but won't really do anything for the surface of the skin. Or we can do fully ablative resurfacing. And so I really kind of target the treatment, give people options, discuss the pros, cons, downtime, potential risks first. And then once they're like, listen, I want longevity, I want to do one treatment, that's what we're going to do. So I discussed to them that, like I said, what I do in the office is great, but what you do at home is even more important. So I like for people to get the CO2 lift and use it on their skin, because in my office I can control their pain with, cooling, ice packs, sprays. We can do a lot of other things. And sometimes we do PRP, but it's really hard to get a blood stick sometimes. It's painful to get a blood drawn after you've had your face blown off. And so, the CO2 lift is a great alternative for me because PRP is great for wound healing. So carboxytherapy, in my opinion, has kind of replaced that because it's easier. I don't need to stick a patient, and they can use it right after the treatment. I like for people to do this basically daily once they're home for about 5 days. Truly, that takes them the swelling, the redness, the pain, the itching, and gives them a more comfortable response. They also kind of like the experience of how it feels. People like to do things. So when they have something to do, we're going to get a good outcome.
Definitely. And I've personally tried the product CO2 Lift Pro. I explanted my breast implants December 18th. And so just did a natural lift. So I've been using it on my scars, and it's phenomenal. You nailed it. You said it right on, right on. We love the feeling.
And so, like you're saying, like, in those areas where you've had surgeries and things like that, it's great for wound healing. And that's a really hard thing to do. After you've had surgery, not a lot of things feel good, you know what I mean, or have a lot of evidence. But when you're
Yeah.
going to do something that's harmless, you're not going to be allergic to it. It's safe on that inflamed, you can use it on open wounds,
Yeah.
and it truly brings a lot of oxygen to the area. So, same reason why they have one for the vaginal area, right? For vaginal rejuvenation, non-invasive. We're hydrating that tissue that gets dry over time.
Yeah, it definitely. We're speaking the same language here. Now, as a member of the medical advisory boards for L and prevention magazines, What trends or innovations do you foresee shaping the future of pediatric dermatological skincare? It's interesting to me as a mom.
Well, right now, teen and tween skincare is all over the place. So kids come into the office, they're going on TikTok, they're buying the snail mucin, they're buying the drunk elephant, they're buying, I don't even know the names of all these things. They're buying all these things. And they come into my office and they're doing so much. They're doing six skincare steps for mild acne, for anti-aging. And I'm like, you're 14 years old. You have so much collagen. This is the time to really teach good skincare. So for me, the trend has been teaching kids like it's so I've also learned, it's just like anything else. You're a mom, you have kids. If you tell them no, what happens? They're going to do 10 times the opposite. So
Yeah.
I kind of say, okay, great. You like skincare, you want to do it? Okay, let's come up with a healthy medium. Let's find what products that are great, that are safe, that are not going to harm you, that you can use to help maintain your skin. So we talk about things like niacinamide. We talk about things like hyaluronic acid. We talk about things like glycerin. Vitamin C, I don't like for, pediatric patients to use because that can cause acne flares and can induce acne. So we're going to stop that. Retinoids and retinols are great, especially if you have acne. So I'm like, listen, if you want to talk about acne and anti-aging and scarring, let's add in a retinoid. So I think the trend is we have an educated audience, which is great. We have kids that take interest in their health and skin, which I love. So for me, instead of saying no, which a lot of people want to do, I change the conversation and say, okay, let's find a healthy medium. Okay, we'll engage your interest, keep your skin healthy, and still make it fun for you to do, and still you can do some of the trends that are worthy of doing. Slugging is great, or if you want to do a lot of hyaluronic acid, like when kids use hyaluronic acid, I'm like, keep going, go for it. You know what I mean? All we're doing is hydrating the skin. So I think the conversation becomes recognizing the trends and make sure there's nothing harmful. So what's harmful is the at-home treatments. So kids are coming in, they're putting on who knows what, aspirin, baking soda, mixing it with water, dish soap for little acne spots, and they're getting chemical burns.
Oh
There's
my
a girl on
God.
Tik, yeah, there's a girl recently who used an expired salicylic acid product on her face, and she broke out in second-degree chemical burns. So the conversation really has to be healthy skin prevention, which is what I preach.
And education. You said it. I'm going to pull this audio and make my 9-year-old listen to this. Now, with your focus on men's aesthetic and prejuvenation, we have about a minute and a half left. What preventative measures do you recommend to your patients to maintain that healthy skin as they age and mature?
My male patients don't want to wear sunscreen because they don't think that they go outside. And I'm like, you live in Arizona, you leave your house every day. I can see it in your skin. So sunscreen, sunscreen, sunscreen. For men, simple sunscreen, moisturizer. And if I can get them to use a retinol, great. Those are three simple things for men that I think make a huge impact. Because men usually are exfoliating every day when they're shaving and doing all these things, not knowing that they're doing that. So for me, I don't care about exfoliants. It's just sunscreen, moisturizer, retinoid.
Love it. Now, future of laser technology, looking towards the future, how do you see laser tech evolving in the field of dermatology? Are there any emerging laser treatments or technologies that you particularly are excited about?
There's a lot of AI that's going on right now. So that's really interesting. I think we're going to have a lot of devices that are going to be smarter about recognizing what are safe treatments on the skin. So I think, these lasers are going to have built-in like almost parameters and built-in sensors to see if that's a safe treatment for patients with different skin types. So I think that's what I think is on the horizon. So I think that's something cool to watch out for. In terms of technologies that emerge, I give it at least 5 years before I make a claim. But I think the trend in the future is going to be a lot of ultrasound technologies, which are becoming very popular. And I think that that's going to be, the next wave of non-invasive skin tightening treatments.
You said it. You're right on the money, and you are indeed expert on the microphone. Thank you so much for joining us today. It was such a pleasure chatting with you. You're so full of knowledge, and you're easy to chat to.
Thank you so much for having me.
That was our Going Deep segment brought to you by CO2 Lift. That was Dr. Corinne Lal, double board certified dermatologist. You can check him out on the gram at Sir Dermsalot. You're listening to a Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut, 100% pure coconut water. Imagine a drink that's nutrient-rich, powerfully refreshing, naturally sweet with no added sugars, not from concentrate, zero additives, low in calories, absolutely no artificial flavors, and is so tasty that it will become your new favorite beverage. Enter Once Upon a Coconut, the absolute best tasting coconut water you will ever try. Available in 4 refreshing flavors: pure, chocolate, pineapple, and sparkling with energy. Do your taste buds a favor and pick up some today at onceuponacoconut.com.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next, in the Hydration with Heart segment, brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut, we're joined by my good friend, Dean Mojo Mutati, but you may know him by his WWE name, Mojo Rawley. He's now the founder of Paragon Talent Group. You can also catch him hosting on TMZ Sports. He's also an ambassador for major brands such as Once Upon a Coconut, Celsius, and DraftKings. He joins me today to chat about life after the WWE, representing talent, his healthy obsession with coconut water, and starting his own family. Welcoming now to the show is the amazing Mojo Rawley. Welcome, superstar.
Zen, what's up, my friend? Thank you for having me on today. This is going to be fun.
So excited. So looking back, I'm going to dive right in because I'm on the clock and I want as much information from you as I can get. So looking back to your WWE career, you were described as hyped and hungry. And with this passion, you paved quite the path for yourself, garnering many wins and accolades along the way. And now today you remain hyped and hungry, but channel that energy into new avenues. And this transition from WWE to founding Paragon Talent Group must have been quite the journey. Can you share with us the inspiration behind launching your own talent agency and the vision you have for its future?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I spent 10 years in the WWE and had an incredible run, won some titles, won some championships, and definitely had a lot of fun. But my career was cut short. I ended up getting COVID really bad, and it just destroyed my lungs. And I spent a year on the shelf and wasn't getting any better. So we made the decision to part ways with WWE and go and do our own things. And it's very similar. I mean, not a lot of people had their careers ended by COVID per se, but a lot of athletes can relate to injuries taking them out of the game before they were done, when they had a lot left in the tank. And, pro wrestling's a different business than pro sports. There aren't agencies and management companies as much as the other places. So I figured with 10 years in the business, with a background in finance, work experience at Morgan Stanley, and an MBA, I could be the guy to bridge the two worlds together, and started the first ever talent management company for pro wrestlers with a good friend of mine, Steve K. And yeah, 3 years later, we've done deals for almost 400 talent at this point. So it really took off very quickly.
Wow. You are exactly where you are supposed to be, my friend. That was no coincidence for you to part ways with WWE, because you are now on to your next chapter. Now, what you're doing at Paragon is absolutely essential, because creating impactful partnerships between brands and VIPs can lead to great benefits, right? Increased brand awareness and exposure. And this really helps build credibility and enhances both a company and an individual's brand image. In fact, brand partnerships have become so popular in recent years with the development of the digital world and social selling that 60% of marketers, Mojo, 60%, they plan to increase their influencer marketing budget this year alone. And that's according to Statista. By the end of this year, the industry is set to reach $24 billion. So you're doing great things by facilitating these connections, and you really have the opportunity to shape the careers of these aspiring athletes and entertainers. Now when looking for talent, what qualities, and this is where I'm, curious, when you are looking for talent, what qualities do you look for, and how do you nurture their potential, but also guide them through the ups and downs of the industry? Because it's not easy.
Well, actually, the easiest part is working with professional wrestlers. They make it incredibly easy on us. To start, professional wrestling is the #1 most active and socially engaged platform on the internet, bar none. The numbers just blow out sports, entertainment, Hollywood. It's just incredible, because the relationship that wrestlers have with their fans. is absolutely second to none. But then if you want to talk about content creation, if you want to talk about working a microphone at an in-person appearance, there's nobody better than that than pro wrestlers. That's what we do. We're handed a microphone and we're told simply to go out and win the crowd with lots of guidelines and lots of constraints. So when wrestlers get their freedom to be independent of a major promotion and really do whatever they want, my goodness, the marketing capabilities are endless. And that's why we've been able to have such amazing relationships with various brands, you know, including DraftKings, where we've done deals for almost 50 of our talent at this point. But it's been a second to none relationship, and our talent are just killing it. So anybody works. All of our people are doing quite well.
I love it. Now let's chat about coconut water. As a pro athlete, your affiliation with Once Upon a Coconut speaks volumes about your love for health and wellness. We had you in studio earlier this year, and people loved your interview. Coconut water has so many health benefits, right? It's a great source of essential antioxidants and electrolytes. It supports heart health, manages cholesterol levels, lowers blood sugar levels. I mean, the list goes on and on. Not to mention, it's a great natural hydrator that's low in calories and contains no added sugars or these artificial ingredients that all these other brands are adding. It actually tastes amazing. Now, Mojo, I know why I'm obsessed, but what sparked your fascination with coconut water, and how has it become a staple in your daily routine?
Well, I love coconut water, and I definitely know the benefits of coconut water, but previously, the products that were on the market were terrible. Like they're disgusting. Like, hey, you know, if you've heard of a coconut water, you probably know it's not very good. So, you know, a little bit of an uphill battle of trying to reverse that thought process. But the first time I had Once Upon a Coconut, I was like, oh my goodness, this is just absolutely delicious. I loved it. I hate to say it, but even if it were an unhealthy drink, that would have been something that I would have liked to have drank every single day because it tastes so good. But, you know, really, you talk about the health benefits. I mean, it's so good for you. And with so much garbage on the market, you know, people not knowing what they're putting in their bodies. I mean, here was a healthy product that tastes good too. So for me, during workouts, before, after workouts, just having them casually through the day at the pool, whatever it might be, it's just been fantastic. And, you know, probably my favorite part about the company is just that 10% of the proceeds go to charity. You know, the founders of the company that you know quite well, they definitely donate a hell of a lot more than 10% to charity on a very, very regular basis. So the team behind the company was extremely attractive to me. Just people in line with one vision to put out a healthy product to make a positive impact on the world and give back as much as they could. It was just, I mean, those three things right there, that's the trifecta.
That's the trifecta. You said it. This company is headed for greatness, major buyout. Anybody who has not checked them out, you definitely have to go to their website, onceuponacoconut.com. Now, shifting gears a bit, work-life balance is no joke. In 2023, 72% of U.S. workers believed a healthy work-life balance was crucial, but 60% said they didn't have boundaries between work responsibilities and their professional life and personal life. And that's kind of where I'm at. And this lack of balance results in burnout, sleep issues, declined mental health, and even illness. So while it may look different for everybody's situation, it's incredibly important, I say, to find the balance that works best for you. Now, Mojo, I know you're entering a new chapter, and starting a family is a significant milestone in anyone's life. Recently, last few years, been married and found your soulmate. How has this new chapter impacted your perspective on work-life balance, and do you see it influencing the projects you take on in the future?
You know, my work-life balance has been awesome. And yeah, I was single my entire pro wrestling career, even a couple years before that, which was pretty wild. But I met my wife at just the perfect time. It was meant to be. And she moved in pretty quick. We got married pretty quick. We were off to the races pretty quick. So she's been unbelievable in helping me with that work-life balance because, you know, if she ever goes back home to see her family or something, like she'll be gone for maybe a week. I blink, I look up, and all I did was work the entire time. I didn't do anything. I was just, you know, that was it. So she's awesome about like kind of getting me away from the phone, getting me away from the laptop, and going out and living life. We have our dog Bruce here, he's sitting here right with me while I'm doing this interview with you. And we take lots of trips. I was really good about that when I was wrestling. As hard as I worked, you have to pencil in time for yourself, for your mental health, to go out and do something fun. It's on you to find out what's a good release for you, and what can get you refreshed, so when you go back to work, you're ready to give your 100. But yeah, everything's been awesome. The wife and I are doing great, and actually we are going to Europe soon for my cousin's wedding, so that'll be a nice little break too.
I love you. You're such a family guy now. It's like your whole world is revolving really around your wife, your family, your work, and it's just you are somebody that is so approachable and personable. That's why the fans love you, because they follow your trajectory and your career path. Okay, last question before we wrap up here. So you've already done so much with your career, and I know there's still so much more to come, but with your diverse range of roles and projects, what legacy do you hope to leave behind in the worlds of wrestling, entertainment, and entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I've said before, with Paragon Talent Group, I feel like I've added so much more value to the world of professional wrestling than I did in my 10 years as a pro wrestler. I've only been doing this job for 3 years. I don't really look at it as a job per se, but we're able to change the game. We're reintroducing the outside world to what professional wrestlers have to offer for anyone that doesn't watch anymore, that maybe used to before. And we're helping out our talent, and we're really growing a one-stop shop for any needs in this space. And it's been really cool to see talent, their brands elevating, the business being elevated, and we continue that growth in the future, and we're very excited about what that holds. And as it relates to me, maybe I'll hop back in a wrestling ring at some point. I think it's been like 3-4 years since my last match, outside of the the dream match for Triple V. But yeah, it's a big future, man. We're plugging away. We got a lot of irons in the fire right now, and it's going to be very promising. We're going to blow up. Once Upon a Coconut is going to blow up, and we should be sitting pretty.
Let's do this, baby. And today, a big shout out to Impact Zone. It was the St. Jude's fundraiser tonight in Bergen County, block party right here in Norwood, New Jersey. And Once Upon a Coconut was, of course, again, one of the title sponsors for this incredible event. Thank you so much, Mojo, for coming on. That was an incredible interview. Thank you for being so transparent and allowing us to have a little glimpse into your journey, into your success, and into where you're headed.
Zen, thank you so much for having me on. It's always a pleasure. I'll see you at the next one. Let's go.
That was our Hydration with Heart segment, brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut, and that was the incredibly talented and incredibly hyped Dean Mojo Muhtadi, otherwise known as Mojo Rawley, in the WWE ring. Definitely check out Paragon Talent Group. You could check them out on the gram at We Are Paragon Talent. And of course, stay up to date on his latest and greatest endeavors on his personal page on Instagram at Stay Hyped. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Your Home TV with Kathy Ireland and their channel partners. Head to yourhometv.com for free, family-friendly programming, streaming 24/7.
Levi Riggs on Your Home TV. Check out Harvesting Hits. Country singer and farmer Levi Riggs combines life on the farm with life on the road. Get ready for stories of perseverance, passion, and the power of pursuing your dreams against all odds. Check out Levi at leviriggs.com.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.
Well, that's a wrap, my dear friends. We are at the end of our date. Remember to join me right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, every Saturday night from 9 to 10 p.m. Or you could head to 710WOR.iHeart.com/A Moment of Zen. Also remember that we're live on Traverse TV Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern, YouTube Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern, and of course, all of our episodes are available on Your Home TV and Kathy Ireland worldwide. They stream 24/7. You could head directly to our channel. It's free programming to you, mox.yourhometv.com. Thank you for listening to us. It's been an absolute pleasure being your host. Thanks again to all of our sponsors that continue to make this show possible. And remember that happiness is the only thing that multiplies when you share it. We'll see you next week.